Victoria from Fix Your Hips. I'm back with this video that's focusing on 3 easy exercises for you to do to start strengthening your hips. It's focusing on improving your core, getting your deep glutes working, and a little bit of a hip flexor stretch as well. 3 main areas that you need to work on when you have a sore hip. So in terms of reps, try and aim for, if you're starting out for the first time, maybe 5, build up to 10, aim for 15 to 20. Do that once. If you find that's quite comfortable, you could aim for a second set. I like to say aim for once a day. We've all got busy lives, although in lockdown you might find you can do maybe twice a day as you've got a bit of extra time. So get some comfy clothes on, find yourself a nice space, and here they are. I'm going to show you how to do a bridge. Bridging is a really good exercise for hips that are painful. It works on improving your tummy muscles and also getting the deep hip muscles stronger and better control. It also gives you a bit of a stretch down through your thigh, so it kind of kills 3 birds with 1 stone. So to start, you need to sit with your feet roughly against the wall, and you want to make sure that you've got about another foot away from your bottom, from your heel. So we're going to lie down, and really importantly with a bridge is your starting position. So you want to make sure that you use your knobbly bits here, so there's knobbly bones there. Make sure that they are nice and even, so you don't want one side higher than the other. Equally, you don't want one side closer towards your ribs than the other, so nice and even. This will make sure that when you do the exercise you're working both sides exactly the same, which is really important. So the first thing to do again is check where your knees are. You don't want your knees wandering in. So you've got nice control, nice position here, and good position of your thighs down to your knees. So the first thing we're going to do is start by doing a pelvic tilt. So when you're doing this, you need to make sure that you're tilting using your tummy muscles, not your bottom muscles. So we're going to practice that first. So you're going to use your knobbly bits and draw them up towards your ribs, but just using your abdominal muscles. Some of you might find that's a good place to start, and you might just want to do this as an exercise in itself, especially if you're coming back from having had a baby or just generally feeling really deconditioned. So making sure that you're using your ab muscles to do that tilt. Once you feel you've mastered that, the next step is to bring in these deep muscles here. So your abs are on, you're in a nice position, your knees are in line with your hips. You're going to squeeze these deep muscles here, and then you're going to just gently lift your bottom up towards the ceiling, making sure all this stays in the same place. Then you're going to lower down. Keep your abs on, and then squeeze those muscles back on. It doesn't really matter how high you go to start with, you just want to make sure you're doing the technique right. So abs on, squeeze your bottom muscles, and lift. As you get stronger, you'll be able to lift higher, but make sure that you keep that tilt on, because without it, what you'll tend to do is lift through your back, and that won't work. It potentially could cause you a bit of back pain. So you want to make sure you tilt through the abs, squeeze your glutes, and lift. Initially, you want to be starting to work to about 5 to 10 reps. If that starts to feel easy, just keep upping it. You could get to around 50 of these, and making sure that you're working your bottom muscles nice and strongly. So what I'm going to show you now is an exercise called bent knee fallout. It's a really good exercise to work on your core and just general stability around your hip. So if you tend to, when you're standing, have a pelvis that sort of leans that way a little bit or across this way, then it's a good exercise to teach your muscles how to control your pelvic movements. So we're going to start lying on the floor, knees bent, and I like to put my feet against the wall because it gives me a sense of being in the right place. So the first thing we're going to do is take a big breath in. Just expand your ribs, and then as you breathe out, just let your ribs relax. We want to make sure we're starting with your ribs in a comfortable position and not either up here or really, really rigid. So nice and soft and relaxed. Just relax these muscles here, okay? Then we're going to just make sure we're nice and straight here. So we want to make sure that our knobbly bones, which are these muscles on the front of your hips, that they're in the right position. So make sure when you're starting they're not dropped on one side or not tilted up too high on one side as well. And that's something I want you to keep an eye on all the way through the exercise. So we're going to make sure ribs are relaxed again, just gently drawing your abs. So you're going to just do a very gentle squeeze. Imagine you've got a corset on and someone is just gently pulling the corset tight. Don't aim for 100% squeeze because that will make it very difficult to do and your muscles will get tired and they'll stop working. Just aim for around a 25% to 30% hold. So you're just going to gently draw those abs in, make them work but not make them work too hard. So the next thing we're going to do is start to move our legs. So nice stable position, my abs are on, I'm not pushing my back into the floor, I'm just keeping that nice position so I'm comfortable. So from here, we're going to just let the leg go out to the side and then bring it back in. So what we're looking for here is control around your pelvis. So when you take your leg out to the side, you don't want your pelvis to follow it. You want to make sure you've got good control here and you're taking your leg just as far as you feel comfortable. Now, one side might go further than the other. So you might find, for example, your right goes further with good control, whereas your left might be a little bit less. That's fine. Just work to where that leg feels comfortable. Now, if you're really finding that difficult, you could do it against a wall. So you've got an end point to the exercise. So your tummy muscles come on and then you just tap the wall and you bring it back in again. And that's a nice way to start the exercise because it gives your body something to aim for. Now, in terms of how many should you do, really you can start at any number. So even just starting at 1 or 2 is enough, progressively building that up to 5, maybe up to 10 and then 15. And just sort of seeing how you go with it. But the main thing is you stay stable here when you're doing it. Don't let your body be pulled through by your hip. Equally, make sure that when you're doing it, you don't let your body tilt up. And if you're used to carrying children on your hip on one side, your body will try and get into that position because it feels more comfortable there. And it feels stronger in that position too. So make sure that you keep these muscles working and just allow that hip to drop out while maintaining that nice control in your tummy. So now I'm going to show you how to do a leg slide. This is a really good exercise for painful hips. It works on your stability around your core, deep hip muscles, and also lengthening through your hip flexors, which can get a little bit overactive. So a good thing to do is to start with your feet against a skirting board. This just gives you a really good sense of where you should be. It's almost mimicking standing up straight. So once you've found your feet on the skirting board, make sure that your hips are nice and even. So again, you don't want to have one hip more forward than the other. Equally, you want to avoid that tilted position. So nice and straight. If you have got one foot that's slightly longer than the other, you might want to use a shoe on one side. So I'm now going to bring this hip up and we're going to do the exercise. So starting in this position, big breath in, just feel your ribs expanding out. As you breathe out, just letting them relax. So again, just checking you're in that nice neutral position, drawing your tummy muscles on, and then we're going to start by sliding this leg up and then sliding it back down again. So all the while I'm keeping control here. I'm not squeezing too hard, I'm not pushing my back into the floor, and I'm not letting my back arch. It's really important you don't let your back arch as you slide your leg down, because then you're just giving into the hip flexors and you're not letting any stretch. So abs stay on, making sure that your pelvis doesn't tilt forward, or it doesn't tilt over to the side, or it doesn't tilt in this position. So nice and stable here. That's the main goal of the exercise. So lengthening through and then bringing that hip up. Now to make it a little bit harder, if you find you can get to 10 or even 15 of those nice and easily, then you can start to do it alternately. So this is more like mimicking walking. So making sure as you do that, you don't start to lose that control in your abs. So one at a time, Hope you found them useful. Next video, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about how your standing posture could actually be making your hip pain worse. So be sure to watch that. Please subscribe, comment, and hit that like button.